On today's episode of the Brado and Will Show, we're doing player grades with the midway point of the season. So we have a guest to check out this Rockets roster and how they've done so far. So stay tuned for this episode.
All right, and welcome back to an episode of the Brado and Will Show. You guys heard Brad in the introduction. Today, we're doing player grades at the halfway point of the season. We're going to be grading every player on the Rockets for the most part on their season so far. We are going to be doing it. I guess I should have mentioned this to you guys off camera. I want to do it relative to role, right, and to who they are, right. So for a guy who, I guess we'll get into it, because I think obviously if Kevin Durant, I'm not going to spoil nothing. If KD's an A, then I don't think you could justify putting like Jabari at like anything other than like y'all get what I'm trying to say. So doing it relative to role. But before we get into that, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, the reigning most appearances on the Brado and Will Show. I think every time we've done a player grades episode, Dubb has been present for it. So I was like, let's get him back on for this exact thing. But Dubb, how are you doing today? And let everybody know where they can find you at.
I'm doing really well. I'm glad to be back. This is like home. But you can find me on Twitter at JDubbIsHim. Pretty much same thing on other social media platforms. Excuse the background today. I'm not at home, but I'm not going to miss the opportunity to be on the Brad Out Will Show. But I've been doing great, man. I'm really excited to get these grades on and just very curious to see what you all have today. So
we know we got to start with the guest, right? So again, as Will mentioned, relative to role, Will, I did that thankfully already. So we're on
Yeah,
the
I
same
figured
page.
because that's normally what we do. We normally
Yeah,
do it because it wouldn't make sense to do it any other way. Like, otherwise, guys
exactly.
would not be, So
Yeah, so
there
same
we go.
page there. Same page there. So Dub, we're gonna start with you. First three, we're gonna kick off Amen, KD, Shangoon. So we'll start with Amen and we'll go around the group. So what is your grade for Amen Thompson through 41 games so far? And what do you think about him so far?
So I'm very glad we did not do this on a game day. So I was able to do this with no emotion, no biases. Speaking of biases, I will say Amen Thompson is my favorite player in the league, but I'm going to be honest on the grade. I gave him a B. The reason I gave him a B is I think the earlier part in the year, his defense wasn't quite what I expected. A little bit of lapses in effort, and the shooting, which got me really excited in preseason, didn't really show up initially in the season. I will say over time, he has turned back into the man that we've all grown to love. His shooting is up from 14 points to 18.5 points. Field goal percentage dropped a little bit from 55 to 51. His true shooting dipped a little bit, but he has a bigger responsibility, a bigger role, and he is playing heavy minutes. So I gave him a B, but I do think by the end of the season, this will be up to probably an AA minus.
Bro, you want to go next? You want me to go
No,
next?
let me go to what I had for him. I was in the same range. I want to double check. B sounds right. Yeah, I also had him in Thompson at a B. I had high standards for him in this year. I thought he could have been an all-star. I thought the Rockets could have had 3 all-stars this year. And Dub, as you mentioned, he did have a slow start to the season. And the three-point shooting was the main thing. Not even the three-point shooting, the mid-range shooting as well was the main thing I wanted to see him take a leap at. And we haven't seen that. You know, 19% in the corner this year. Last year, he shot 37% in the corner. And he's only shooting 31.7% from mid range this year. And last year, he was around 37, 38. And he's also really bad in the paint, only shooting 41%. And he's taking 4 of those a game. That's like 29% of his shot diet. So a big part of his game is shooting in the paint, and he's not really converting them at a high clip. But hey, when he gets to that restricted area, he's shooting like 72%. So he's money there, even though eye test shows he misses a lot of bunnies that he should make. But yeah, Amen Thompson is Amen Thompson because he locks up on defense for the most part, and he's insanely athletic, gets a ton of boards, does a bunch for the Houston Rockets. Right now, amongst every player in the league that has defended 400 shots, Amen is third in the NBA in field goal percentage defensively, behind two guys who are at the top of the depoy race, Chet Holmgren and Victor Wembanyama. So Amen is on pace to be the youngest player in NBA history to get two All NBA first teams. I'm assuming he'll get one this year. So insane, insane
You mean
stat.
all defensive first teams?
All defensive first teams.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
probably
yeah.
said that wrong. Thank you.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Oh yeah, insane player, right? Just have high standards for him. Offensively needs to come along a lot more. Obviously, is being forced into more on-ball duties this year, and hasn't been the prettiest, but man, I think he's been killing it since December. And really quick, as I pull that up, and I'll just do December. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, since December 1st, Amen Thompson has been averaging, this is a 24 game stretch, 28 and 5 on a 60 true shooting percentage, two stocks. So, and an 81 free throw percentage. So, optimism that those shots may come along, hopefully. So, I think he's been really good in this stretch, and I hope he keeps it up. And I'll pray the three ball comes along.
So I'm gonna sound like a broken record because I also gave Amen Thompson a B. And also Brad stole. I wasn't gonna do the December 1st stat. I was gonna do the last 20 games. So you stole my stat there. But
My
what I
bad.
was nah, you're good. You're good. I honestly should have expected you to do it before me. Um, why the reason why I gave Amen Thompson a B, because I kind of debated between like a B and a B plus, but the reason I settled on a B is because of what I want to say, Brad's what you said. This is somebody who I thought may not necessarily make the All-Star game, but would at least be in some serious conversations to make it. And like we're about to have the All-Star selections come up pretty soon. He's not going to be there. He's not going to get any real serious consideration for it. I love him in Thompson. Similar to W, he's my favorite player, not just on the team, but in the entire NBA. He has not played like someone who should be in that conversation. And so for someone like I said, I thought he should have been. The fact that he has not or he's not going to be is one reason why I think his season's been so disappointing. I think defensively he's not looked as good as he did last season. Now I did expect it to regress a little bit because I expected his offensive role to increase. One by virtue of just like Jalen Green being gone, somebody got to kind of assume some of that usage. But then when Fred went down, I'm like, okay, well if he's like me playing point guard now, like offensively he's going to be a bit more involved there. So defensively probably won't be able to put as much effort in there. But the other issue with that for me is, well, he doesn't even really play point guard for the Rockets all the time. A lot of times he just brings the ball across half court, passes to Katie, passes to Shingo, and then goes to like dunker spot, goes to like set off ball screens, different stuff like that. So I'm not really hearing the he's too gassed excuse. And so like, yeah, I think his defense our season wasn't the greatest. I think his offensive approach of the season was not the greatest, where he was very reluctant to attack and be aggressive, get downhill, and it would drive me crazy because like once every other game he'd do something crazy, and you're like, dude, you could do that every time if you wanted to, and you're not doing it. And so I was thoroughly disappointed with Amin Thompson to start the season, someone who I hold to a very high standard, and I don't think he hit that standard. But as Brad pointed out, as of recently, about maybe like the halfway point of the halfway point of the season, I thought he's flipped the switch. I think that he's started increasing his aggression a bit more, which is one of the things I really want to see him do. Is I want to see him get downhill, put pressure on the rim because he's a great finisher, and if he's not finishing, he's a talented enough passer to find an open man, and he's been doing that a lot more consistently recently, and I've been loving that. I think defensively he's picked it up back a notch. I don't think he's quite where he was last season, from a defensive standpoint, but I do think he's much improved from where he was start of the season. I think he's another guy like Brad said who should be a lock to make an all defensive team this season, hopefully all defensive first team. So I'm loving what I'm seeing from that end. The playmaking is coming along. Like I said, he's kind of assuming that role, especially on the games where like Shingun is not present. Is like that secondary scorer next to Katie. So um, I feel like if you would have given me like maybe like 10 more games, this B probably would have ended up being a B plus. But because of where we were to start the season, I did bring it down to like a B. So like similar to that, I think by the end of the season, this B will be a lot higher. But so I had on the men. You might want to chip in
Well,
anything
I
there. If
want I
not, we
want to
can
do
go ahead.
this as we go around for each player. We can switch up the order so we're so no one's stealing people's grades here. So all right, I'll go first on Katie. Then we'll have you go first for Shangu and Will, and I'll go to you next up. So Kevin Durant, my grade for him is going to be an A. I almost want to do an A plus, but I'll put him in between that range. I believe I'll start with the only negative I have is when he gets doubled. We all know the issue is he's not the best at passing out of those traps. That's been my only issue with Kevin this year, along with not being aggressive enough, with finding his shots, or maybe not fighting enough off ball to get to get the rock, when he's getting in position to score off the elbow. But outside of that, man, what else can you ask for? He's averaging 26, 5 and 5, damn near 50, 40, 90 splits. If you want the specific, he's at 51, 39.5, 88.8 from the free throw line. He's playing amazing defense. And that same stat I said for him from all the players who have guarded 400 attempts, he's 10th in the league in defensive field goal percentage. That exact amount is actually, I'll pull that up for you guys, 42.5%. So that's really good. And he's blocking a ton of shots. the 0.9 doesn't seem accurate. My eye test is telling me a lot more. But he gets, again, players will have like a loud block or a block you won't notice. His blocks are loud because the Rockets are running after he gets a block shot. So I just wanted to commend him. And for the most part, he's been healthy. Not the most part, but the entire season he's been healthy. The only 2 games he
Oh,
missed.
knock on wood.
I said this in Rockets Collective just now. So hey, I'm saying, y'all don't come at me if something happens. But hasn't missed a game. The only 2 he did were from personal issues. So yeah, I gotta commend him. And I had to go into my grade as well. I almost gave him an A+ just for that alone. So shout out to KD. I would do the trade 10 times over, and I'll pass it off to Dubb.
Well, here we are with the same grade again. I gave him an A. I wanted to almost curve this to an A+, considering he is 37 years old, doing the things that I'm about to say. I thought the shooting has been phenomenal. Obviously, new team, kind of a different role. He's averaging what 25.9 points a game, which is phenomenal. 51% field goal. That's what 63 true shooting, phenomenal. The 3-point percentage is at 39%, phenomenal. He's doing all this while still managing a lot of the offense, a lot of on ball reps, things that we were hoping he was not going to have to do when we thought Fred was going to be healthy initially. And I think the defense has been superb. Great effort. I never really see him slacking off. I see him leading that charge, both at the rim, on the perimeter, on switches. I have super duper enjoyed his play for the most part. The thing that keeps me from giving him an A, one of my most surprising on both ways with his game is the passing. I thought he's made some really phenomenal passes, like some great passes. And then he'll just turn around and just make like the weirdest, just dumb passing decisions, lazy passes early in the season, and then just a little bit too risky passes later on. I also do kind of wish he played a little bit better in our national TV games, the bigger games. It's gotten better as the season came on, but those have been some of his biggest slumps. But again, this man is 37 years old, playing heavy minutes, essentially having to be the fulcrum of the offense. So I had to give him an A. And I know some people might be frustrated with that because they may have been underwhelmed. But if you step away from the emotion, man, we had nothing like him last year. And he is playing at an all-star level. He is playing like a superstar. So, yeah, an A, and I feel pretty comfortable with it.
Well, this is once again awkward because I also gave Kevin Durant an A. I think the only thing that was preventing me from giving him an A+ is similar to what Dubb said. It's the turnovers and the passing. Now he's only averaging, I have to pull it up, he's only averaging 3.1, which funny enough is about his career average of 3.2.
Yeah, he averaged
But
3.1 last year as well. I looked
yeah,
at
Yep.
yeah.
but it's just like that's his weakness. And in a lot of the games that we've lost this season, teams have recognized that and tried to exploit it. And like I said, you send 2 to him, he's probably not gonna make the best decision with the basketball in his hand. So throw like a very lazy pass. There was a possession yesterday, recording this the day after the Spurs comeback win, where Sengun was bringing the ball across half court, and KD went up to like get the ball from him, and then he faked it, and Sengun kind of just threw it out of bounds because he's like, oh, he's thinking KD's gonna be there. That's not a turnover on KD, but that's a turnover on KD to me. It's like that was on you. He thought you were coming to get the ball and then you didn't do it. There's also been a couple of times this season where I feel like he should have been a bit more assertive and a bit more aggressive, especially with like establishing post position to get the ball right. If you're gonna want the ball, you got to do a better job of making yourself able to receive the ball right. A lot of times, guys like Reed and the men will get turnover trying to throw him the ball on into the post, and we're like, oh, they suck at it. And I'm like, how are they supposed to throw this pass when it's a defender like pushing KD out the paint as we speak? Like that's not gonna work. So those are like my 2 biggest criticisms of him. I want to get out their way early because that's where it ends for me. I think KD has been, outside of those 2 small things, he has been outstanding. Like as Brad pointed out, there is not a bone in my body that thinks we made the wrong decision this offseason trading for him. He's averaging, I'm going to round up here, 26 points per game on 5 rebounds, 5 assists on, and this is the part that is just truly absurd for a person who is 37 years old, 51, 40, 89 splits for a 63 true shooting. All right, I did round up, so it's 39.5% from 3, but that's like a magnet ball game away from me back up to 40. Like this is a guy who at 37 years old might average 26 points per game on 50, 40, 90. Right. And you guys know how he gets guarded. He doesn't get guarded. He doesn't get left open. He's getting fouled pretty much 90% of the time he has the ball in his hands. Or even when he doesn't have the ball in his hands, he's getting fouled. Outside of the bad passes in terms of turning the ball over, he's made some really good decisions. He's been a great playmaker for the Rockets. And I think the thing that has stood out to me the most, that surprised me the most, 'cause I knew KD was a good defender. I was not aware he was this good defensively. I think that outside of Amen Thompson, I think I'm going to tell you, I think Kevin Durant's been the best defender on this team. I genuinely think I'm at that point in time now where I think like Okogie has had some really good moments defensively. And then Tari, he's been cool here and there, but he's kind of been out the lineup too much. And then Jabari is kind of inconsistent on that end for me. I think in terms of consistently playing good defense, I think Amen is number one for me. After Amen, I would love to put Sengun here, but I think like the ankle injury has kind of zapped him of some of that defensive um intensity. But outside of a min, I think KD has just played the best teams on this team. There's a possession every single night where I'm genuinely surprised that a 37-year-old just made that defensive play. There was the play where he got stripped by Rudy Gobert and then locked him up coast to coast and blocked the shot. And it's like, yeah, he turned the ball over there, but it's like you got back and blocked the shot. You made up for the mistake that fast. And he, like I said, he does something like that every single night. He makes the right rotations. He contains drives. He weak side rim protects. Like he just does everything for the Rockets defensively. And I was not. I know he was a good defender. Didn't think he was that good defensively. So, um, as a matter of fact, hot take. And I'll end it. I don't know if it's a hot take, but I'll end my playing here. Dylan Brooks, I think, in terms of the Rockets last season, I think what he brought that Katie does not bring is that defensive intensity and that being the quarterback of the defense on the court. I don't think that Katie does that. Now, that being said, in terms of defensive ability and production, I think he's a better defender than Dylan Brooks was for the Rockets last season. I know that sounds crazy to say, but I think right now I feel very comfortable saying I think he's been a better defender for the Rockets than Dylan Brooks was last season. And so yeah, that is the reasons why he's at an A for me.
We can start with you on Sengun.
Sengun.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's
so
do
now y'all can't steal my answer this time. I gave him a
that.
B plus.
Yeah.
I gave Sengun a B plus, and let me pull up his numbers as well. The reason why I did not give him a little bit higher is because similar to Amen, I am a tad disappointed with his production so far. I it's not quite to the level I was disappointed with Amen, especially because I think to start the season he was phenomenal. As a matter of fact, if this was done in like the first 20 games, I would have gave Sengun like an A minus A. Like if it was like the first couple of games, because there were so many games where where I'd say no, this would have been the reason we won, but he walked down a lot of teams start that season. There was a lot of games where in crunch time we were like, Sengun, please save us, and then he did it. So like I think about that Bucks game where he cooked Giannis full court, laid it up and won. Like there was a lot of games like that start the season where it's like, dude, Sengun just kind of went crazy in the clutch, and that's the reason why we won the game. So if it was early in the season, I think I would have given him like I said, an A minus to maybe even an A. But and I do want to contextualize a little bit by saying a lot of this is because he did get hurt, and you can tell like he's even as of right now, he had a pretty good performance against the Spurs yesterday. You can still tell he's a step slower than what he normally is because I think he's still kind of nursing that ankle injury. But he has not looked as dominant as I would want him to, and particularly with his efficiency, he's at a 57 true shooting right now, which is right. I'm rounding up here, so it's 56.7, which is below league average. Like I want to say league average is around 57, 58 right now. And like that includes every player in the league. I want to say league average for for bigs, especially back to the basket, bigs are taking shots at the rim is probably closer to like 60, 61. So he's not quite where I want him to be from an efficiency standpoint. Recently he has not been making his free throws. I should have put up his most recent game stretch, but he's been struggling tremendously from the free throw line recently. And for someone who is very talented at drawing fouls, I need him to be like automatic from the free throw line because he has good touch. Like I said, he's someone who's going to rack up a lot of fouls, a lot of free throw attempts. He should be like, we should be relying upon him to make a lot more of his free throws than he's been making them. Like I said, I think his defense has taken, I'm not gonna say a plummet, because like I said, I do want to contextualize and say that I think it's because he's hurt, but he's not been as good defensively as I thought he was last season for the Rockets this season. And so for those reasons, I do not feel comfortable giving him an A minus or A just yet. But similar to Amen, I think that there is a world where he bounces back, and I do give him an A to end the season, or A minus in the season. And I think even with the fact he hasn't been as quite as efficient as I wanted to be, or quite as defensively adept as I wanted to be, I still think that he should be a lock to make the All-Star game. And the last thing I'll say on him is I think one of the biggest reasons why I'm disappointed is because I thought that, especially like those first 20 games, I thought this was a guy who was going to be an All NBA guy. I thought he was going to make an All NBA team, and as of right now, with the way the Rockets have plummeted, I am not so confident he makes it anymore. And I think he's good enough to make an All NBA team. So I'm going to give him a B plus.
Go ahead, Dub.
All right. We finally don't have the same grade. I actually gave him an A. I think Shingun has been great. I think he's been so great that when he's not great, it stands out to us. He has upped his minutes and his usage, right? He's at 34.2 minutes a game, which is his career high. And I think as far as the points went up from 19.1 to 21.5, which we knew needed to happen once we kind of condensed our roster with Fred's injury. Field goal percentages went up from what 49.6 to 51.1. We're true shooting at 56.7, up from 54.5. Um, Rebounding still at 9.3, assists at 6.4 with 3.3 turnovers. Free throws actually is up to 70%. Even though he misses more than we would like him to make, that's still higher than he's had. The only thing that's really down is rebounds. I think his defense actually has been really fine until he came back too early from the ankle injury. Um, Clearly, his defense has not been as good lately, but I still think it's pretty good. I've been pretty satisfied with him. There are those moments where you feel like Shingun is trolling, right? I harken back to I don't know if that was the Pelicans game where he could have went for the game winner and got stuck on the baseline. Obviously, it was a little bit disheartening. We are coming off a game yesterday where I feel like he was trolling on the passes against the Spurs. I'm not sure what was happening, but players had those blips sometime. I've been really, really satisfied with him. I think he kind of has been the hub of our offense, even with KD here. I think that he has beaten some of the best competition he's faced. I think he cooked Wimby yesterday. I've been pretty satisfied. I do want him to continue to grow. I do want him to continue to mature. I want those free throws to be knocked down. The 3-point percentage is at 30%, which is not far from what I feel like it needs to be. I would like to get like to about 33, 34%, but he is upping it up. I've been pretty satisfied with Shingun. So yeah, I feel pretty good with A. A plus, absolutely not. But by the way, we had to get this man into the All Star game. He's an All Star. But what you
Hey,
got,
he's gonna
Fred?
make it. He's gonna make it. Well, before you go, Brad, you gave him a higher grade than you gave KD.
Who me?
Yeah.
He got the same exact grade as I got Katie.
Why did you give KD an A minus? My fault. Oh, yeah,
No.
you did give him an A. My fault. My fault. My fault. Go
Mm.
ahead.
Yeah. So we all had different grades on this one. I had an A minus. So I look at the raw numbers and it doesn't tell the full story, of course, but 21, 9, 6, he's giving you a steal and a block. Only players to do that for a full season are Larry Bird, KG, and Giannis. And now Sengun if he keeps it up. So raw numbers, he's playing, excellent basketball. As Dub said, you losing a guy like Jalen, you're gonna need, and of course Fred VanVleet out here, you need people to step up in the facilitation department. And Sengun has done that. Same exact assist to turnover ratios the last 2 years. Surprisingly enough, actually the exact same. But I mean, upping the usage, he's been a good player for Houston, and they definitely miss him when he's not there. The reason I didn't give him a higher grade, he has not improved on his three ball. He came out the gate against OKC, hit 5 of his 8 3-point attempts, and that was special. I'm hoping that he builds on that. And through like 10 or 15 games, he was still hovering around 40. It's been downhill since. He's only hit 22 this year, which is more than last year still. But this is a guy I have high standards for. Will and I got on his podcast and said he was better than Kevin Durant, and I don't believe that anymore. But right now, he's not playing like it. KD is a much better player right now. So that's just the standard I have for Alperen Sengun. If you're listening to this and you call me crazy, I'm not mad at you. But the way Sengun should be playing, I'm telling you, he's really like that. I was looking at him like a second team All NBA guy this year. That's how skilled I believed he is, especially with the leap that he's taken defensively. And as Will mentioned, he was on the money. With the last injury, he has looked a step slower there, but man, look, the defense has been much improved since last year and the years prior. So I had to give him credit there. But another reason I deducted him, and I could have even brought him to a B plus, he's been very bad for the Rockets in the clutch this year. He had 4 games that he just went nuclear. OKC, Milwaukee. He did really well. Yeah, against Denver, and then Orlando was the other one. But
Yeah.
outside of that, when the Rockets were trolling against those really bad teams in the West, Sengun was not coming to play in the clutch in those games. He has a 46 true shooting percentage in the clutch this year. That just needs to be much better. I have high standards for Sengun. He should be able to get the ball in the post and get a bucket whenever against anybody. Someone tagged us in a stat today, Will, and said Sengun's getting like the most double teams in the front court of any player. When he's not doubled, I expect him to go to work, get a bucket. There's a play yesterday in the game, and I'll keep it short. He has Stephon Castle on him. He's backing down, and he picks up his dribble and passes it up. I just want to be more aggressive and find a shot. But that's what I got on Sengun. Again, 21, 9, 6, 1 and 1 is just very good, but efficiency needs to be better and better play in the clutch. But I'm cool with A minus. And we'll go back to Dubb. I think a hot commodity. We didn't talk about the fourth person, but a hot commodity is Reed Sheppard.
Oh, okay.
Or who are you gonna say?
We're going bar. We can go read.
Okay. We'll go Reed then Bar. He's a hot commodity. Good game against San Antonio just now. So what do you have for him?
Let me go first on Reed and last on Bari. I gave Reed A.
Okay.
You get an A?
I gave Reed Sheppard an A.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
So this is a guy who I've been banging the table on. A lot of people wrote him off early in the season and last season. I think once you get past that very, very early season slump, I thought he's been great. Let me get the negatives out the way. He's been hunted on defense, and the shooting has been a little inconsistent. But overall, this is a guy who was pretty much a nothing burger last year. If anything, he was a liability. He's averaging 13 points, which is up from 4.4 points. He's actually playing real minutes for a change. I feel like he was stuck with the Cam Whitmore minutes last year, essentially where he was playing with dysfunctional lineups. No offense, Cam. He is shooting 44%. That is up from 33% last year. He is shooting 40.9% from three, and that's with real volume. 57% true shooting. And while he was hunted on defense and clowned for that early in the season, especially when we were on national TV, I think he's been hunted and he's been up to the challenge lately. I don't, Brad will probably quote this with whatever his stock numbers are, but I've seen him be attack 101, get steals. I've seen him get some really good blocks. For a guy right now who is a guy coming off our bench, right? He is not a starter yet, as much as everybody keeps crying about him being a starter. I think he has been really good. I think he should be in the running for sixth man of the year. I think he's been that good. He is a shooter who is supposed to shoot, occasionally run our offense, fill in some little small areas that Fred VanVleet has, and I feel like he's done it. So while it has not been consistent yet, this is a 21-year-old and almost his first season because he barely played last year. I've been very, very satisfied, and I kind of think that you're just seeing some remnants of who he's going to be. So yeah, I give him an A, and I feel pretty good about that. And that's one of the two or three that I think will be controversial. But I don't know what your order was, Brad, but since Will was so shocked, I'm very curious to hear what Will has.
Go ahead.
I am on the complete opposite side of the spectrum. One, he gets a good grade from me. I gave him a B minus, so he's not failing. You know what I'm saying? It's a 3.0 GPA still. But yeah, no, I didn't give him an A. And I think the reason I did not give him an A, I feel like a B minus is kind of the right grade for him. He's been good, right? He's been very good for the Rockets recently. As a matter of fact, I've been arguing as of recently that I think he should start. I think that I think he's one of the 5 best players on our team right now, and I think he also plays a position and a role that we desperately need in terms of another ball handler and spacing, not just in terms of shooting ability, but also in terms of respect of a defense, right? He still gets guarded. Like he's shooting 40. I'm around up here 41% from three on how many attempts he taken on Jesus Christ 6 attempts a
6.2 a
night.
game.
Yeah. So like, and he gets guarded like he's that kind of shooter. So like, that opens up the court for KD, for men, for Sengun. So I think he's someone who should start. But yeah, like Dubb said, he's averaging 13 points per game, about 3 runs, 3 assists on 44, 41, 76 splits. The reason why I just didn't feel comfortable giving a little bit higher, number one, is the defense. Now there are games this season, like for example, the Spurs game, where I think defensively, not only was he good, like was he not a liability, I think he was good. I thought he was great defensive for the Rockets, and I think his defense was a huge part of why we were able to pull off the comeback last night against the Spurs. Like those are other games this season where I felt the same way about his defense. There were also a lot of games this season where his defense was bad, and we had to pull him off the court because of how bad it was defensively. I think that, like as soon as like the game literally before this one, where it's like, yeah, defensively, Reed, you were not playing good defense at all. And then the other thing is he had a really good start, he had a rough start at the beginning, kind of warmed up a little bit, and then he cooled off a little bit after that. Like I think after matter of fact, let me look at what he was averaging in December real quick, because I want to say it's probably not that good. Either that or January. because I think November was really good for him.
It was. Yeah.
December 2025. Okay, so he averaged about 13 points per game, 55 true shooting in December, which is actually a bit higher than what I thought it was going to be. And then in January, he's down to 12 points per game on 53 true shooting. So, not necessarily the worst thing in the world for a rookie, or I mean, he's not a rookie, but I consider it like his rookie season. But yeah, he didn't necessarily. There was a lot of games where I'm like, I feel like Reed did not make enough shots, right, for someone who was supposed to be one of our better shooters. I think he could have made a bit more shots, and that would have helped us win the game. And so yeah, that's why I didn't feel comfortable giving him anything higher than a B minus, man. Maybe I'm too harsh, but that's where I'm at. Brad's gonna be like the bridge between the both of us.
I gave him a B, right? I gave him a B, and a majority of that comes with him. The positives would reach Sheppard, right? He's shooting 40% on 6 threes a game. Like the only other 21 other players to do that is another rookie right now, Con Knipple, who's shooting lights out. That's actually the best 3-point shooter rookie in league history. And Jason Tatum. It's just those three. So that's how good Reed is shooting. He was around 44, 45, and he's starting to drop. He was actually below 40% before that last game. So, yeah, this is the shooting the Rockets wanted when they drafted him. I still believe he's a better shooter than what we're seeing, which is saying a lot. He's at 41%. He's a better shooter than that, in my opinion. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he could do. And I've liked what I've seen from him when he gets that on-ball usage and he's able to showcase what he's able to do. We saw him really flash against Golden State. He single-handedly won the Rockets that game. I thought he single-handedly almost won the Rockets. Not almost, but he single-handedly won that game yesterday for the Spurs. I said almost because it was a team effort, but he played amazing in that game. He was plus 17 and had 12 points. But, as a season sample, the defense has to be better for sure. He does get hunted pretty often, and it's the reason why his minutes aren't as high as they should be. And I think he may should let the kid play through his mistakes. They're going to need to now, especially with Steven Adams gone. But the defense has to be better. He is averaging 1.4 steals. I give him credit there. 0.5 blocks. Some of those real blocks. Most of them are those little Fred VanVleet swipe blocks. But yeah, I'll give him a B, and he's going to have an important second half to the season. I think his minutes and role increase, especially with Steven Adams going down. So I'll give him a B. Almost gave him a B plus because man, he's shooting lights out. He's the best BPM amongst all 21 other players in the league. Next on that list is Alex Sarr and Khalil Ware. So yeah, I mean he's playing really good. I think he could be better. That's where I'm at. So we had me at a B, Dubb at an A, right? Will at a B minus. Okay, I almost went B plus. I'll go B plus. I'll change to B plus. No, I'll stick with B. I'll stick with B. But we had Jabari next.
Yeah, we can go Jabari.
Okay, Will, you go first.
All right, for the most controversial one of the day, gave him an F. No, I'm playing. He didn't get an F. He got a C plus from me. And that is not the lowest, but it's one of my lower ones. And it's just because I've been saying this a while, and I'm gonna sound like a Jabari Smith Jr. hater, but I mean I'll say it. I think that he has, in terms of degree of difficulty compared to other NBA players, I think he has one of, if not the easiest job in like the NBA, because we don't ask him to dribble, to play make, to shot create. We don't ask him to pick up Luka Doncic full court. We don't ask him to guard Nikola Jokic or Victor Wembanyama for that matter. Like Wemby didn't get guarded by Jabari yesterday. We don't ask him to short roll play make or beat a zone. We ask him to guard the guy that he guards, which is typically at this point in time probably one of the weaker offensive players. Right now, I will give him credit when he guard Julius Randle against Timberwolves. He played a really good defensive game against him, but I cannot remember who he was guarding last night against the Spurs. But was it Julian Champagnie? I actually, because I know they didn't put him on Fox or Castle or Wemby, so it might have been Champagnie or Harrison Barnes. But my point is, he wasn't guarding any of the premier offensive players or like threats for the Spurs. And I think if I were to go back in time 4 years ago and tell you that the guy we got out of Auburn would not be on one of the three best offensive players on the opposing team, I think we would all be like, that's cap. That's not going to happen. So we don't ask him to even do that. He guards some of the weaker players on the opposing team, and we just say, hey, you're going to get a bunch of open threes. I want to pull this up actually while I'm talking. You're going to get a bunch of open threes because you're playing next to Alperen Sengun, playing next to Amen Thompson, playing next to Kevin Durant, guys who command double teams, guys who command a lot of attention, guys who collapse defenses. You're going to get a bunch of open threes off their kickouts. They're all willing passers. Just take and make the open ones. And he is shooting 35.6%, which is up from where it was. If I were to do this, I want to say yesterday or day before yesterday, in terms of where it is. But it is still, which, funny enough, that's actually not a career high. It's 0.2 higher than it was last season. It's 36.3 was what he shot in 2024. So it's below that his highest mark. But Brad can correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say league average from three is around 37, 38 right now. And so he's a little, he's about a little below that. And once again, I think in terms of what we expected from Jabari, it wasn't that he would just be a league average shooter, it's that he'd be like an elite one, in the above league average range. So like we're talking 39, 40, 41, kind of where Reed is right now. Reed's shooting about 41% from three. We kind of envisioned that would be more his shot diet. The other thing I want to contextualize too is that he's shooting 35.6% from three, and these are not on fading threes. We don't ask him to run no elevator concepts. We don't ask him to hit the leaning threes like MPJ. He's not coming off screens. These are catch and shoot threes, right? And so I pulled up the numbers. He is attempting 6.3 threes per game this season. And the NBA website classifies 3.2 of those is open and 2.3 of those is wide open. He only takes, of his other shots, 0.8 of them are tight. So he doesn't take any very tight threes. And like I said, the only ones that are considered tight are 0.8 of them. So that 35.6, once again, is on mainly open shots. And then once again, we don't ask him to hit pull-up threes. We don't ask him to come off screens. We don't ask him to shoot from Curry range. We ask him to hit catch and shoot threes. 5.7 of his 6.3 threes are considered catch and shoot threes. So once again, he's shooting mainly wide open or open catch and shoot threes, and he is below league average at that. And then you combine that with the fact that I don't think, like I said, he doesn't get tasked regarding the best guys defensively. I think on top of that, I think his defense is a bit better in theory than what it actually is. That's why I gave him. And then I guess maybe a lot of this is kind of I'm not gonna say skewed, but it is factoring in that stretch of like 6 games where he just couldn't throw the rock into the ocean at all. I think anything higher than a C plus for me would be a bit too high. So gave him a C plus, man.
I'll go here. I also gave him a C plus.
Really did not think he would do that.
Yeah. What'd you think I was gonna give him?
Maybe like a BB plus.
My main thing is the shooting. I'm a big believer in Jabari Smith Jr. He's averaging 15 points this year. Rockets are 18-7 in those games when he does score 15 points. I do believe he's the Rockets' X factor. But yeah, 35 point, Will, you just said it, but he's 35.6%. Yeah, on the season, shooting 37.6% on wide open threes. And he's taking like 2.3 of those a game. And on the NBA.com, again, classifies wide open as 6+ feet, and then they classify open as 4 to 6 feet. Open 4 to 6 feet, he's shooting 34%. And as a guy who's 6'11", he's not really seeing those contests. If you're open or wide open, those should all be money from a guy he's supposed to be a knockdown shooter. And I still think he has that in him, and we're just not seeing it. And that is why I have to dock him the way I am, because he's got to be hitting those shots for the Rockets, a team that generates so many double teams between not only Alperen Sengun, but Kevin Durant as well. They both get doubled so much in the front court, and Jabari should be able to feast off of that. And again, he's averaging 15 points, which is good. That's his career high. But the efficiency at 54.7 true shooting percentage at his height is not going to cut it, in my opinion. He's much better than that. He's much better than that. And I think he can be much better than that. So how have I said this for him? He's training with KD. He's got the work ethic. Everyone loves him. He has the right way of going about everything. I just think it has to translate. And I'm not mad at the contract that was signed this offseason. I think he can still play up to that contract. But yeah, he's just the jump shot's got to fall. And I'm not happy with the 73.9 free throw percentage, which is actually down a ton from
he's
last
missing
year.
technicals, man.
He's down damn near 10% from the free throw line.
That is ridiculous, man.
So I think it's mental with him. But I want to praise him really quick before I pass to Dubb. In the last few games, he had a career game against the Pels, and showed up in the clutch against Chicago, showed up in the clutch against San Antonio just now. And again, defense has been better recently as well. locked up Julius Randle. Best defensive game I've ever seen from him. So room for Jabari. I'm a fan of him. I just need him to knock down some damn threes. So that's where I'm at.
All right. So this is a player I changed my grade on. I originally had him at a certain grade. When Will said we're going to do this relative to role, I
What
changed
was
my
certain grade? Go ahead and say it right here.
my initial grade for him was a C, C plus. But if we're talking about relative to role, I'm giving him a D. Let me explain why.
Oh shit. Okay.
I like Jabari. I think I've actually worn my Jabari Smith jersey for Rockets games, maybe equally to my Amen Thompson. Um, I knew that when Jalen was traded, somebody was going to be the whooping stick or the whooping boy of the Rockets community. I figured it would be Jabari. I chose to have a lot of optimistic expectations for him this year. I fought tooth and nail for people to get off his back and allow him to be the player that I think he can be. But it's been very disappointing. He has the simplest role on the team of players who get true minutes. He is supposed to be a 3 and D big forward. The 3-point percentage is bad. It looks worse than the percentage, if I'm being honest with you. He's shooting around what he shot last year from 3. It doesn't feel like that. It's terrible. And it's not, we're not talking about rimming in and out. We're not, the threes are bad. When they miss, they miss. This is a guy who shot an open 3 to hit the side of the backboard from the corner. I can't get over that shot, right? But that's not even my biggest thing. The free throw percentage, listen, he's been up and down. I think he shot 90% in November, and I think he went to like 82. I know he had like 1 month. I want to say it was probably January or December. He shot like 73. Now he's at 63.9 for January, which is really bad. I think he has the yips. What I cannot accept is the defense. I can't accept the defense. He is a 6'11 forward who is getting hunted every game successfully. Not only is he getting cooked, it's almost like he has a superpower for players to make shots against him now. I appreciate the aesthetic effort. I appreciate the stances and all this other stuff. He's not stopping people. I do think he's had a couple of really good games the last 2 games. So I know if we're going off of recency, this is going to sound really bad. But you cannot be getting hunted as a young 6'11", almost 7 foot, supposed to be mobile and agile forward. I don't think he really holds any role that well. Maybe unathletic power forwards. But how many of those exist in the league now, right? Can't really guard wings, not really strong enough to guard bigs. Mind you, he's still really young. I'm not saying that he won't grow into something much better than he is right now. I'm hoping that what we saw the last 2 games is for moments to come. But if you have 2 things to do and you're not good at either one of them, it's really bad. And I think the biggest frustration is he's getting his minutes. Ime, who I consider a pretty good disciplinarian as far as a player and pulling people, he has not pulled Jabari. You are getting every opportunity and you're playing bad. I don't know what it's going to take. I believe he'll get over the hump. That is blind faith. But if we're talking about a guy who's supposed to be a 3 and D wing, big wing, he respectfully sucks at both. At least so far. So I think the C plus is being very nice. I think even thinking somebody would give him a B is kind of insane. I give him a D. I am hoping by the end of the season he's at least up to a B, maybe a B plus. You're really bad at your job right now, and it doesn't have to stay this way. I am rooting for you. I will wear your jersey more than I wear even my boy Amen's jersey for the rest of the season because I'm being brutally honest with you. But right now, it's really bad. So yes, a D.
Yeah.
I pulled up he's 16th in minutes played right now. And I also want to say that number probably will go up if he filtered out for like the last maybe 10, 15 games.
He's been playing a ton of minutes recently.
Yes. Yeah. And I'll say he's ahead of like Alperen Sengun. The only Rockets that are ahead of him are men who was second in the league in minutes and KD who was third in the league in minutes, and that should not be happening. And I almost want to say I feel like the fact that he's playing that much might be an indictment on Jabari, but
Oh, I did miss one thing. Another reason why it's a D is the discipline. Too much dribbling, which you cannot do. I do understand shooting your way out of a slump, but the way that those shots have been, not feeling it. It's 2026. We don't need the post up turnarounds anymore, bro. Let's get good. Let's simplify things. Let's get good at your simple things first. I believe in you. Fred believed in you, and Katie believed in you. I kind of hate they said what they said on that podcast because I feel like since then you've been really bad. But yeah, it's a D, man. It's a D for me.
Yeah,
I think the
that
first time
that
we ever give him
turnaround.
business.
I was gonna say this real quick. Turnaround has not been hitting. Midi was awful for the entirety of the year. I wanted to say he has been hitting 50% on the middies past 14, 15 games. So hopefully that sticks as well. But yeah, Jabari is a much better player in there. You can see much better. I've seen the flashes recently. Hopefully those flashes stick. And they're gonna need them with Steven Adams going out and the standings being this close. But I can start off with Tari Eason, and then we can go to Steven Adams and then Okogie and so forth. Tari Eason has played in. I don't know if y'all gonna factor games played into this, but I kind of will and I kind of won't. But from what we've seen on the court, I'll give him an A minus. Damn near should be higher just from alone. He's shooting like I don't know where that stands with y'all. I'm actually it's weird going first, but I'll give him an A minus because he's knocking down 46.9% of his threes. Right, that's
Like
amongst the
four a
players who have.
game. Yeah, 4.4 a game.
Yeah. The volume is really nice. I didn't pull up his numbers like I should have when Dubb was talking. But from the amount of players who have taken that as many threes as he has, he's third in the league, right behind Bobby Portis and Will. We just talked about this. You remember the other name? If not, it's fine. It
Who
was the
was
guy on the Cavs, Jalen Tyson.
yeah, Jalen Tyler. They said it's actually not shooting that well right now. Funny enough.
Yeah. So yeah, Tari's been excellent in that category. But yeah, defense is going to be the defense with Tari, and the discipline is going to be the issue with him, right? He's going to make a ton of boneheaded plays, but he does everything, man. He's getting boards on both sides of the court. He's getting a ton of steals. He's racking up blocks, and he's doing what you need to do out there. You know what you're getting out of Tari Eason, and he's came into this upcoming year, and now he's knocking down threes. So you have to be happy with it, right? But he's got to stay on the court, and that's why I'm going to give him an A minus. It'd be higher in my opinion, but the brother can't stay on the court. I'm curious to see if y'all factor in the games played, but he's played in half the games for the Rockets this year. Rockets are 14-8 in those games. But yeah, he's got to stay healthy. Again, Steven Adams going down. Gonna need him. So stay healthy. I think he's played a great season so far. If he's been healthy the whole year, the restricted free agency talks would have been kind of nasty. So that's where I'm at.
You
I
want to
wonder
go
if I'm
next?
tweaking. I'm curious.
Oh, I'll
Is
leave
that
that.
high? Is that low?
I'll be quick with mine. If games played did not factor into it, I would give him somewhere between an A and an A plus.
Okay.
I think the defense has been really good when he's playing. The shooting, it may not be aesthetically pleasing. He makes it. The man's a bucket, and it's not his first year doing it, right? He is averaging more points, 15.5. He is making 43? No, he's making 48% of his shots.
Wait, you said Tari's averaging 11.7 this year.
Okay, I'm looking at Jabari. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that sounded like Jabari. I was about to say
It's 11.7, which is slightly down from the 12. He's making about 48% of his shots, which is just slightly dipped from last year.
Mhm.
He is at the top of the league in 3-point shooting again, right? Not at the very top, but he's like in the top 5, 46.9, which is 47%. The defense has been good. Even when he makes mistakes, man, he recovers. It's been really, really good. He feels like a positive when he's on the court. My grade for him is a B. You can't make the club in the tub, bro. You can't sign on the dotted line if you ride in the pine, man. And you know you're a young player. You're 24. You played 82 games your first season. You played 22 the next season, 57 the next season, and so far he's played 22 out of 41 games. And it's not like he's logging heavy minutes. He has not cracked 20 minutes on average yet. You are having to rest on back-to-backs. I'm not saying it's your fault, but availability is a really big ability, and that's problematic. I want Tari to be here a long time. I think he's a really good player, man. His mom might be my favorite person in the community. But you got to play. You got to play, man. And I'm not sure what we got to do to get there. It would be unfair for me to give you an A when you are rarely available. That said, when you play, man, you be hooping, and I hope I wish you good health. I do think that the injury that he had was kind of a freak injury. I hope he bounces back, but again, you got to get out the tub to make the club, man, and it's just unfortunately been kind of brutal. And this is a pretty big sample size. It's the last 3 years so far. So yeah, I'm gonna go with my B.
Will, before
I
you go,
oh,
I just want to say Tari played all 82 in year one. I just wish we can get that back, man. But that's all I wanted to say. Yeah.
I also gave him a B, and a huge reason why was because I was factoring in availability. If availability was not a factor, it would go to a B plus. But because he's played in 22 of 41 games, and I will say played because of that 22, there's been some ramp up games where he's looked rough because he's coming back from injury, right? So it's not even like we've gotten 22 Tari Eason games. We've gotten, I would say, like 15 of them. Um, that being said, though, in those games where he looks like Tari Eason, he looks really good. He's averaging a lot of points. He's um, quiet as kept, probably one of the like five best shot creators and makers on this team right now, which I think it's actually a bigger indictment on the roster than it is a compliment to Tari. But you know, it is what it is. He's probably one of the better guys in terms of creating his own shot off the dribble. Obviously, the big draw is that he's shooting 46.9% from three on 4.4 attempts. Now, like mind you, that is because he's doesn't have as much volume as the other guys in the league. He's only played in 22 games, but he's putting them up on 4.4 attempts per night, and it's gotten to the point now where when his feet are set and he's in that corner, I think it's going in. And so far, so it's been doing that. As Dubb illustrated, his defense is also some of the best on the team. Like I said, I think when I talked about Katie being the second best defender, the other guys who kind of came into my mind for that second best spot were Okogie and Tari. And I think Tari, like I said, for him, it's a bit more of the availability thing. Why I don't feel comfortable putting in those conversations, but he is a really good defender, a really good event creator on the defensive end. That's kind of the word we was using to describe him a lot. He'll find a way to jump a passing lane, get a steal, get a block, just something. He'll do something to create a transition opportunity for the Rockets. And then, I mean, maybe it's also because he doesn't play as much this season, but I also feel like a lot of the stupid moments don't happen quite as much anymore. There are still times um, where he will take a shot that you would prefer him not to shoot. But like I remember last season, he would drive me insane with like the 3-on-1 fast breaks. I haven't seen those as much this year. And maybe it's also like a pretty low bar because it was really egregious last season. But I don't see as much of the bonehead decisions. Now he still is a bonehead. He still makes a couple of the bonehead decisions, but they haven't seen him as much. And so yeah, I'm comfortable giving him a B right now. And like I said, it would be a B plus if he played like 30 games, but because he's played about half the games in the season. And I'm gonna be real, man. I'm pretty concerned because it will not shock me if he goes down again at some point in time this season. So yeah, I give him a B. We can move on to because I think we got some quick hitters now. Steven Adams. I'll go quick with Steven Adams. I gave Steven Adams a B minus. And the reason I gave Steven Adams a B minus is because I think that he's not been as good as he has been or he wouldn't. He's only been here for technically 2 seasons now because he didn't play that first year he was here. But I don't think he's as good as he was last season. I think Double Big has not been that good this season, and I know that was one of our biggest strengths last season. Maybe the league kind of figured it out a little bit more. Maybe it's also because Steven Adams might be a step slower. But it has not been as good in my eyes as it was last season. I don't think Steve has been as good as he was. I think defensively, there's been times where I think he's been bad. There's been times where he's been good, but there's been times this season where I think he's been a bad defender. I think also just the fact that he is a truly limited offensive player hurts the Rockets at times. You really can't ask him to do too much from an offensive perspective outside of set screens. And maybe kind of try to do those DHOs he kind of gets into every now and then, but he's not a roller. He's not a lob threat. He doesn't have the best touch around. Matter of fact, what I wonder, I bet you his TS probably looks a bit better than what my eye test tells me it is, but I'm gonna go look it up anyways.
No, his true shooting
Um,
percentage is 53.
oh no, it's where I thought it would be. Yeah, it's 53.5. Which once again, I talked about with Shingun when you're a guy who's you don't take threes, all your shots come at the rim. You kind of want that to be closer to 60. So yeah, like he's not, he doesn't have the best touch around the rim. The rebounding is still potent. Like I said, when he is there defensively, he's pretty good defender. I think there's a reason why his impact metrics always picture him as one of the best players on the team. So I think he's still a good player. But yeah, like there's been some rough moments with Steve-O for me, and he's also now out with an injury. It's probably gonna keep him out for probably the remainder of the regular season, honestly. So, but yeah, B minus.
I'll go really quickly. I'm off from Will. I gave him an A, right? I thought he was. Yeah, I gave him an A. I did. His efficiency is actually pretty much the same as it was last year. So I mean, that's what you're gonna get out of Steven Adams. My main thing is he's the best offensive rebounder in league history, and he was doing that again this year. He's actually breaking the NBA record for the best offensive rebounding percentage in league history. So his impact was there. The minutes with Sengun weren't as dominant as last year, but they were still a plus 6.8 net rating on the year. So they were still working, just not as dominant as last year. So I do agree with you on that point, Will. But yeah, I just think he's also, the Rockets are winning his minutes by 6.1 a game. And he's only playing, we will disagree. He's only playing 22.8 minutes a game. So he's one of the most high impact players in the league. I have to double check while Dubb is talking. One of the best net ratings in the league as well. So yeah, I just got to give him an A, man. He's that dominant on offense. He's probably one of the most dominant like role players of all time when it comes to dominating a statistic. Like the Rockets have the best rebounding percentage in league history right now, and that's that's Steven Adams as well. So yeah, he's that much of an impact player in my opinion. So I'm giving him an A.
What did you
And
give
we're
him,
gonna
Will?
miss him. He
B
gave him a B
minus.
minus, right? Yeah.
B minus.
Go ahead, Tubb. Let me see what you got.
I gave him a C minus.
Holy
Yeah.
fuck.
Let me
Whoa.
explain why. If
Okay.
you are very stats heavy, I understand all the love for Steven Adams. Statistically, he does a lot for this team. Um, but I have this weird advanced stat call. I watch the games. And
That's that barbershop talk. Come on.
it doesn't feel like the stats. If I'm being honest with you, I think the defense has been pretty bad. Pretty bad. He has defensive moments that are good here and there, but overall, man, like the way we say that, like when you're shooting by Jabari, just goes in. Same with Steven Adams. I don't think he's been bad on against his man. I think the help defense has been pretty bad. I think the way he's been moving, the way he's been dropping has not really been good. I think in the zone he gets very confused on where he's supposed to be. A lot of time cheats and overcommits, and it leads to bad shots. It leads to open shots. I think the effort here and there is good, but I think the discipline is bad. The rebounding stats are still really good. I don't know if there is an available rebounding to what your rebounding is. It feels worse. There's so many times where I'm just like, bro, the ball's right there. How come you're not boxing out, or how come you're not getting that rebound? And the other team gets the offensive rebound. Now, granted, normally in the game, we dominate like a third quarter, maybe, or a fourth quarter, and so it kind of swings back the other way. But it's been a lot of times, especially in the first half. So I'm like, bro, get the rebound. I also think for a guy who literally shoots all his shots right by the rim, the shooting's bad. I looked at him and Clint work on like these little hook shots and these little putbacks in the preseason and training camp. Man, it's bad. I don't understand why some of these shots are being missed. The part where I would not fault him directly, but it is an issue. We run the offense through him a lot, and it looks bad. I think some of the passes have been stinky, just unnecessary risk. I do think like everything else he does, the off ball play and setting screens and stuff like that is really really good. I think the effort's good. He's always running up and down the court. I was really hurt to see him get hurt. I am glad it's not as bad as I thought it would be, but hurt that it's going to be a long time. But yeah, man, I think he does not feel and does not look as good as he did last year to me. I do think the minutes going up is a thing, and this is also a guy who gets to rest on back to backs, right? This is a guy who we brought in another center to compensate for you.
Yep.
He just doesn't feel as impactful to me. I understand the metrics, but just man, the defense is bad. Maybe the defensive rebounding is helping his defensive metrics. defense does not look good to me. So
I feel like a nerd here because all the numbers I'm looking at just don't back up that stuff. But I can't discredit anyone's eye test. I have seen possessions where he does look bad or lost, and efficiency again was the efficiency last year. So I'm not going to touch on that. I'm just going relative to the.
You gave him an A, right?
I did, yeah. I would again. Looking at these numbers, I still would. Just
Right.
going off of what it's his role, right? He's doing his role, man. Yeah. But I like that we have some. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, did you want to go to because I think this next guy I have on the list, I think has looked really good relative to role.
Yeah, I'll go really quick on Okogie. That's where you're gonna go.
Go ahead. Yeah,
I'm gonna give Okogie an A. Damn near A+. Actually, no, I'm gonna give him A+, because he's a vet man and he's probably the best vet man in the NBA. He wasn't even supposed to be playing, and he's playing, and he looks amazing, right? So shout out to Josh Okogie. I want to say he's still shooting around 40%. I might go back to an A if it's below.
It's 38.8.
All right, I'm going back to an A. I'm going back to an A.
I also think that's skewed.
I'm going back to an A. Yeah, he was above 40 for a minute, but now he's at 38.1%. But he's played really good for the Rockets relative to his role. Defense has been spectacular. He stepped in for Dorian Finney-Smith, who was supposed to be there by now. And he's not fully Dorian Finney-Smith yet. We'll get to him next. But yeah, I'll give him A.
You want to go, Dubb?
Easy is great. A+.
I'm gonna look like a hater.
A+.
Yeah, see, that's smart.
So we said relative to role. This is a guy who people didn't think would even touch the floor, would even get a minute. This is one of our latest signings, and this guy has been a starter on our team. And everybody complained. They were like, Josh Okogie starting. What happened to my team? And he went in there and he's played well. The defense has been really good. We put him on some of our better players. I think he sticks to his role. Every now and then he might play outside of the role, maybe like one possession every 3 games. But he plays his role. He gets to his spots. If he's driving and he cannot get a shot up because it's not his thing, he will draw the foul really, really well. I think the hustle has been phenomenal. Again, this is a guy who nobody thought would play. I was actually really happy when we signed him because I kind of liked him last year. I didn't expect this. So if we're talking about relative to role, the role that y'all expected was him in his warm-ups, standing up to high-five players coming to the bench, passing them cups of Gatorade, and swinging that towel. And he has been a starter for a team that is one of the best teams in the NBA. It is an A+ to me. And this was the easiest grade on the entire roster to me.
Will is a hater. What you got, Will?
I gave him a B+.
Whoa. Okay,
but I thought I was gonna be high, honestly. So the reason why I gave him a B+, I see what you're saying, Dubb, about like relative to, I guess, like expectation when we signed him. This is a guy who we thought was going to be an end of the men's guy and he's a starter. And I guess if that was the metric, then I could see why you would give him an A+. But I guess I'm kind of going based upon the role that he has played for the Rockets. And I think in that role he's played for the Rockets season, I think he's been really good at it. Like B+ is a good grade. It's not an A+, but it's a good grade. I think outside of, like I said, Amen Thompson and then Kevin Durant, who, it's kind of toss up for me there. I think Okogie's been the best defender on this team. I think his screen nap is the best on the team. I think he is kind of giving you some of that production that you would kind of see from Dillon Brooks last season, where you would put the shorter, stronger guy on the taller guys. Like, for example, we put him on Wemby last night, and I did a really good job on Victor Wembanyama at times. So he plays like that. He's a guy who goes out there and he just hustles his butt off. Like, he makes a hustle play every single night. He dives for loose balls. He crashes the glass. Something he does that I didn't even know he was that good at. He's really good at drawing fouls. He's not that good at making them, but he's good at getting to that free throw line. He just epitomizes the guy who's not afraid to do the little things. And like on a team that features stars like Alperen Sengun and Kevin Durant, you need a guy who's not afraid to do the little things. And Okogie's that kind of guy. And I say all the time, that's like my favorite like archetype of player. I think every team needs a guy like that. And I think more people need to look at guys like Josh Okogie as examples of like how to get signed, how to stay on an NBA roster. Because I think oftentimes too many guys think that teams are looking for like the next Steph Curry, and like they're looking for Josh Okogie's. They're not looking for Steph Curry's. They already got Steph Curry's. So I think he's been good. Like, I think one of the biggest things preventing me from giving him an A is his 3-point percentage. It is at 38.1%, which is on 2.4 attempts per night. So not the greatest volume, but that number is a bit skewed because if you go like to like his last like 20 games, that number goes down to 35.7. You filter up his last 10 games, it goes. I just had it and it disappeared. Thanks a lot, StatMuse. I want to say it was like 17 though. Let me.
He is still shooting a career high from three, though.
Yeah, it's 16.7. So, and the volume's been going down as well. So he has not been making his threes as of recently. And I do think something that's kind of hurt the Rockets a little bit is that our three-point shooting has not been the greatest, and he's been some of the guys who's been taking a lot of open threes for us, and I've been making them recently. So I think if he felt closer to like because I want to say he's shooting 38, if like it felt closer to 38 in real time than what it actually does, because I feel like that's a bit higher than what it looks like, I will be comfortable giving like an A minus here. But because it's not that high, I'm going to give him a. Also, like I said, he's a 65% free throw shooter, which doesn't make sense at all to me. So yeah, that's why he's a B plus for me. I thought I was going to be high with him, but I guess I'm a bit lower.
I feel like the
Let us
shooting.
know in the comments what y'all got on Okogie too.
When he is actually starting and playing real minutes, I feel like he shoots well. I think his shooting is bad.
Let's
Like
see.
when he was no longer starting or barely playing. Like I'm looking at some of these minutes where he plays 6 minutes, 9 minutes, 9 minutes. Those are games where he shoots over 2, over 2, over 1. Like he's not really in
Also, you're
much of a
correct, Dubb.
rhythm.
In his 25 starts, he's shooting 42.2% on 2%
Yeah, I
attempts a
think
night.
he
So
shoots well when he's actually like
maybe it's him coming out the
really
bench.
starting playing and playing in a role. I don't think he's the sort of person who can come in and play 5 to 8 minutes and make those shots. So no, easy A plus.
And again, he's also shooting a career high from three right now. Like he's a career like 31, 32%
Yeah,
three
he's
point
not a
shooter.
good
So
shooter historically.
that kind of factored into me up in his grade. Like he's playing above expectation. Kind of goes into the role I was thinking of. But it's all good. I want to go to DFS. I'm gonna have him as an incomplete. I'll leave it at that. He's played 12 games. Defense has looked better. Jump shot is not there. 26% from three. I'm gonna give him around 20 games, and I'll assess from there. But they're gonna need him soon. That's all I got on Dorian.
I'll be quick. I did grade him. I gave him a C minus. I think his defense has been pretty solid for what you could expect it to look like. I think it can be better than what it has. I think he's shown he can be a better defender than what he's shown so far. That being said, I think defensively, he's been pretty solid to start. But offensively, man, it has been really, really rough for him. He is shooting. I just had this on the collective. Let me pull it back up.
26.8% from three.
Yeah, my God. He has a 42 true shooting because he's shooting 30% from the field as well. And the other issue I have with him is he can't play that many minutes. Now, like I will, give him the grace that is he is coming off of a pretty serious surgery, didn't get a training camp, didn't get a preseason. He's just kind of coming in and getting thrown out there. So he's on like a really heavy minutes restriction. But it's like even on the games where his defense is good or like his jumper might fall, I can't even play him. And like we're in a situation now where Steve Adams is going to be done for quite some time now. Sengun missed some time. Tari Eason's been missing some time, right? Somebody else who's missed some time for the Rockets recently that I'm forgetting. Maybe not, but like our depth can be depleted at times. I mean, Fred hasn't played a single possession for us, right? We need guys to step up, and I think the biggest free agent signing not being somebody I can rely upon is kind of a problem for me. So I mean, I'm patient with him. I'm hoping that by the end of the season, this C minus looks close to like a BB plus. But the other unfortunate part we talked about a little bit on the Rockets list today is the fact that Steven Adams is hurt pretty much probably for the rest of the regular season. Best case scenario, and I think there's a scenario where he didn't play at all for the rest of the season, including postseason. I think that makes Clint Capela a lot less expendable because you kind of do need someone to play center, and Capela's been playing better recently than he was start the season. I think that makes DFS the most expendable guy on the roster right now. So C minus for me, man.
I gave him an incomplete. I don't think he's played enough, which in itself is kind of a problem. I think it is perfectly fair to call him a disappointing signing so far. He has not really played. A lot of people were really leaning on him to come in and be when DFS gets back, well, DFS is back, and it has not looked good yet. I figured it was going to be an issue when I saw how long it was taking him to ramp up. It's been bad so far. I mean, the shooting obviously has been horrific. Um, it looked okay when he first came back. I want to say like in the first like 2 or 3 games, he shot pretty well, like at 42%. But it's been really bad since then. I think the defenses look good, but the shooting can't be as bad as it's been. I think in January he's shooting 20% from three. That can't happen. So we are getting to the spot with the injuries that we need you to play. And in about a month and a half, we really need you to be good. But so far, it's incomplete, man. It just has not been enough minutes, enough opportunity.
Yeah. Capella acquired some analysis. I gave him. I'm curious to see where I have him at. He's played better recently. I gave him he's third string center. This is my expectation. I gave him a B minus. He had a bad start to the year. Horrendous. One of the worst paint shooters in the league outside of the restricted area. But he's come alive recently, man. He's gonna have to be huge for the Rockets with Steven Adams going down. Like a lot of guys on his team. But he's also, rebounding extremely well. Defense has looked better recently too. Just had a really bad start. So again, doesn't play too much. So I'm just gonna give him a B minus for now, but he's gonna have to pick it up.
Will, you go.
Dubs is gonna be lower than that.
I actually want to hear Dubb's grade here, if it wouldn't be.
Okay. I'll say this. I am.
Don't even preface it. What you got? What you got?
I'm glad y'all didn't ask me this about a couple of weeks ago. I gave Clint a D. I think according to role, I mean, if you just say third string center, okay, but it just doesn't look like good minutes when he's on there. The defense is not really good. Can't really contest shots. I think the rebounding has not really been good. I think he's averaging 4.4.
It's been good. He's one of the better offensive rebounders in league history right now.
I watched the games. It doesn't really look good. And I think offensively he is a complete nothing burger. The fact that he can't even be even a low level lob threat. The fact that I remember when he was working in the preseason when he first got here, the Rockets media posted him just taking, I think, like 20 hook shots in a row. Can't make that shot to save his life. It's bad. I would say his little hook shot, which is 2 feet from the rim, is as bad as Jabari's corner three sometimes. Yeah, it's a D minus. I do think he's been a little bit better as of late, and I really hope he improves because we need him now. Prior to Steven Adams' injury, I thought he was going to be traded. If I'm being completely honest with you, but I go a D minus. There was a point in the season I would have given it an F.
It was bad for a second,
yeah, D minus.
I would have given him a D if this was any other time other than like the last 10 game stretch. I moved up to a C minus. I think he's looked a bit better than he did to start the season. I think he was terrible to start the season. I think he's looked serviceable now. Or not, no, I'm not say serviceable. I think he's looked slightly below serviceable. In case like the Spurs, they should look pretty good against the Spurs. I think he's made some big plays for us, but Dubb's analysis is spot on. The fact that he's you really can't ask him to do too much offensively. I think his screening could be better. He's not a lob third anymore. Lord knows he don't got post touch. You really don't run DHOs with him, so he's kind of just like a dunker spot guy who doesn't really get too many opportunities there. And then defensively, he's a step slower. I guess his rebounding is probably his best attribute right now, but I mean, he's not he's obviously not the guy that was traded to the Hawks and was it 2020. So, and like I said, I thought he was not supposed to play as much as he was playing anyways. I thought he was always like a trade candidate kind of guy. It's a human trade exception. But like I said earlier, he's probably gonna be a bit more integral to our rotation than it is. This went a bit longer than I thought it would. So we don't have to, unless y'all just really wanted to grade Aaron Holiday, JD, Jeff, and Tate, we could just say those guys were cool for their roles this season. They haven't really played that much. I don't know if anybody wants to say anything specific about those guys. We can.
I'll give Holiday a B minus, 38% from 3. That's all I got.
Holiday B, JD Davison, been pretty fun. A minus. That's it.
I'll give JD A minus as well. You need 3-point percentage to go up, but it's playing really good. So. Did y'all not want to do Udoka? I know people are probably gonna ask about that. We can get out of here.
Ooh, yeah, we can very quickly.
I didn't even have him on my. Actually, no, I did have him on my list. I'm gonna give Udoka a B. I'm giving him a B.
I'm feeling B plus. I don't
know.
No, we're waiting on Dubb.
You waiting on me? I give him somewhere between a B and a B plus. Rotation's been kind of weird. But he's had to work with people in and out the lineup. very condensed offense, but trying to do something with it, kind of clunky. But I think some of that's the roster,
Mhm.
not him. So I'll go B plus.
Okay. All right. That was our player grades. Let us know what y'all think. Let us know where we're tripping. That went an hour and 15 minutes. That was a good episode for sure. So you can let us know what y'all think. And Will and I will come back with an episode again soon. Dubb, our biggest guest on the show. Like he's been on more than anybody. So thank you again for coming on. Um, you got anything you want to say to everybody?
No, no matter what these grades are, man, if we didn't love them, we wouldn't grade them the way we do. I'm a fan of everybody on this team. I'm going to support you. I don't want you to take any of this personal, and I'm going to let you know the same way that if my son has a bad game, I'll be honest with him, but I'm still going to support him. So I still support this team. I think it's up from here, man. I'm wishing health, and I want everybody to have a really great year. I don't know when y'all going to drop this episode. If it's before this weekend, man, please, y'all stay warm during this cold weather, this freeze we're about to have. And yep, I'll check in with y'all.
Episode will be out at 9 a.m. Y'all already be listening to it. But again, appreciate y'all for listening. As Dubb said, stay warm, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Brad and Will Show.